Welcome to Crazy Hank TV, the Mandalorian chat. I don't really have a name for it, I guess. The Mandalorian talk, chat, whatever it is. This is episode 3. The title was The Sin. So I'm joined by Brian and Team Spanos. That's kind of an inside joke between Brian and I, but yeah. I did laugh when I saw that was your name. I don't know if you heard me laughing. You weren't queued up yet. But to me, I'm laughing. That's really all that matters. I don't know if anyone's in the chat yet, but if they know what's going on, they'll think it's funny. But so before we get started, you said you watched today's episode 3 times.
Yes, I did.
Did you like it each time?
Yes, I did.
So you're loving you after 3 episodes, you love this show?
I loved it. Absolutely loving this show so far.
Yeah, I mean, again, I was kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm going to watch it. But then I was kind of told it was like a Western. And I said, well, I love Western. So it is to me, it's a Western. Mm-hmm. It's a space Western without question. But I'm loving it. Even though it's I don't want to say predictable. I mean, this episode, there wasn't anything I was shocked by. Everything that happened, I pretty much knew was going to happen. But it still kept my interest because it's just the way it's done. It's done. The filming, I keep going back to the filming and how they're doing it, because a lot of times when you have someone who doesn't speak, you need their facial expressions. Well, he doesn't have a face. I mean, he's got armor on his, he's got a, what has he got? He's got, a mask. He's covered. So, but I think they just do a great job with it.
Yeah, it's amazing. The story isn't groundbreaking, but the way they pull it off, the execution has just been really impressive. And I was kind of excited when I watched this because the first 2 episodes sort of were a setup. And this is really where stuff blew off. And,
right,
there was so much stuff. I was like, man, I got the right episode to be on. What do you know? This is awesome.
Because where he's gone, he can't go back.
Right.
I mean, he broke the guild's code. He broke. He broke. It's a little cold in here. he broke their code, and now he can't go back. He's going to be obviously a wanted man. So you're going to have that going on. But I like he comes back. He's returning Baby Yoda. I don't know what to call him. People keep saying that the purists keep saying it's not Yoda. I go, well, I don't know what else to call him. You can call him the child. You can call him the green thing. He's Baby Yoda. And what I thought was interesting when they were walking back into the town, I forgot to mention, he takes off the little knob, Baby Yoda. That comes into play later on. You could see that Baby Yoda was sensing that he was in danger. You could just see by his he's got a cute face. You can't help but watch this Yoda. You can't help it. He's got those big eyes, and you can just see he's looking around, and he senses that he's in trouble.
Yeah, and he keeps looking at the Mandalorian and notices he's not acting the same as he was before. Like he's picked up that, like he's sort of emotionally distancing himself from him, and he senses it.
Yeah, and again, great. No talking, no dialogue, but yet the scenes are interesting because of what's going on with the facial expression. From now, a puppet, Baby Yoda. Mm-hmm. I'm assuming it's a puppet. I'm guessing it's not real.
It's amazing. I mean, it's almost like that character carries the expressiveness that the Mandalorian can't with his helmet. The Mandalorian is great with the body acting. The body acting is really great, but Baby Yoda, the face is the whole thing.
Jim Watari said, hashtag this is the way.
Yeah, this is the way.
So, but I just, again, it's just like, I kept waiting for the Mandalorian, because I think I said last week, I think the Mandalorian's going to drop him off, collect his bounty, and then go rescue Baby Yoda. I think, like I said, nothing was like, oh my God, I'm shocked by what just happened. But when I kept saying, don't take him there. Don't take Baby Yoda there. He's going to be all stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're cheering for Baby Yoda.
You are, and there was a part where Baby Yoda was going across the way. It's the first time we sort of heard Baby Yoda cry like a little baby. Like there was like this little cry that was like, oh my God, it's the first sort of emotional thing we hear, that's when the baby's like, holy crap, something's bad's happening here.
Yeah, he has the Force. He knows. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he knows something's going to go on. He does return him for the payment. I did like that it looked like an ice cream maker.
An old tie, yeah.
I said that looks like an old, churning the ice cream, making ice cream. I forgot to mention too, when they walk in, one of the stormtroopers puts his hand on the flying stroller, and he goes, "Be careful with that." And he goes, "You be careful." So he still cares about the baby. He still cares about him. But I said that has to be an ice cream maker.
Maybe
It looked like it to me. But he gets his payment, and they take Baby Yoda right away. They take him away, and then he asks the client. He goes, "What are your plans with him?" And the client gives him this whole lecture about you're a Mandalorian. You're not supposed to, once you're done, you drop up. That's it. You don't ask any more questions. You need new armor, all this different stuff. Basically, tell him shut the hell up.
Yeah, and that's sort of his first transgression right there. Like that's
right.
That's the first break in the rule, and it just goes downhill from there, or uphill for us in the story.
Yeah, I'm glad he did it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But he's questioning, his whole stuff. Then Mandalorian visits. On the captions it said Amora, but in the IDBM it says mother. That she's mother, so I don't know what to go with. So I guess maybe it's like Baby Yoda.
I think the armorer is the leader of the Mandalorians, and when he goes there after leaving to get the armor, that's sort of the leader of their group.
So
and,
the armor
may have been armorer.
Is that what? But like I said, the thing it said mother. So I just went with armorer, armorer, and mother. I've had armorer / mother. That way I'm covering all my bases, so the people who are still upset about Baby Yoda can, at least I'm trying. He gets in a scuffle with the huge Mando, the heavy Mando. That's what the title said, heavy Mando. So I'm going with heavy Mando because they're not giving their names. It's kind of secret. There's not a lot, and there's not a lot of people listed. It's like, I think last week there were 3 or 4 people listed on the episode 2. I think there was 7 or 8 on this one. So you don't have like that long list of, even though there's a lot of people in the episode, they only list so many characters. But the scuffle breaks, and then she steps up and says the Empire is no more, because the other guy's upset because the Empire wiped them all out.
Right, and the Beskar ingots were made in an Imperial forge, so that he sees that and it pisses him off.
Yeah, because he's obviously in the Mandalorian. He's like, I'm just out to get my bounty. I'm just out to make a buck.
I thought it was interesting though that the first time we saw it, there's this growth of the number of Mandalorians. The first time at the Forge seemed like there were 2 or 3, and then we saw more this time. And then they sort of followed him in, and we learned a little more about their customs and practices, and sort of have the same pattern of when the armor is being forged. We have the flashbacks,
right? And then the final flashback where he's in his parents put him in some metal container, and there's a loud boom, and I'm assuming his parents died. And when they opened it up, it looked like a Cylon from BSG. Yeah, that was my first thought. I go, God, that's a Cylon. In fact, the Mandalorian, I want to go back and look who was invented first, because he almost looks like, if you put a red streaming dot across his eyes, a Mandalorian, he'd be a Cylon.
I thought the same thing, and I thought that had my first crackpot theory. Not to steal your thunder, because you're.
Oh, that's okay. I don't have any.
But obviously it's set up in revealing the flashbacks. You wonder who saved him, because obviously that robot was going to kill him, and I wonder if it's going to be Grief Karga, the Carl Weathers character.
Oh, that's a great. I didn't even think about that.
Because obviously, if his parents had been whacked, somebody had to save him. That robot had the drop on him.
He did. I didn't even think about that, because it would be about the right age. I mean, he's obviously older than. Well, I don't know. I mean, I guess we don't really know how old the Mandalorian is, because we can't see him, but I know the actor's playing him, and he's younger than Carl Weathers. So I'm kind of going with that I did like she asked him. She asked the Mandalorian, "Have you ever removed your helmet, or has anyone else removed it?" And he said, "Never."
Right, and you wonder what that sets up. What is the consequence if that happens?
Yeah, because obviously you can't do it. Because I'm in the last episode, he said no, I can't. No, Nick Nolte said no, he cannot remove his helmet.
Mm-hmm.
Can't remove his armor. That's part of the deal. So I like that scene because then it sets up. Okay, what is the ultimate punishment? What happens if you do that? And
right,
but that's got to be kind of sweaty in there, isn't it?
I mean, how do you have kids if you can't ever take your armor off?
I get it. I get it. Well, maybe
it's just the helmet.
Maybe it's a safer thing. I don't know. He gets some new armor. Then he has the flashbacks. He's all shiny and new. He looks good.
Yeah. The armor looks really good. But I had a question, and it looked like the armor only made the breastplate, but then it looks like everything's brand new when he comes in the bar.
Unless he got a buff or something, like maybe they have like a buff shop in there where they buff out because he got shot in was it the first one? Yeah, first episode. He got shot in the shoulder, but he did look brand spanking new. So I'm thinking there might be like a little, we got the armor on, we got to buff you out, go over here. It's like a car wash where you have the guys afterwards drying everything. Maybe they walk him through it. He gets off.
Or they had another magical montage where it's all fixed.
Yeah, there you go. We're just supposed to accept it.
Right.
He goes back to the bar with Grief, and he walks in, and all the bounty hunters are just looking at him like, they're not happy with him, right?
Oh yeah, they're pissed. He got the big bounty, and we find out every bounty hunter had the bounty to go get the Baby Yoda. Right,
and so they didn't get the egg.
Yeah.
So he got it, but Grief says, "Hey, they're just they're not." What did he say exactly? He said, "They don't like you because they're jealous of you, or they hate you because you're a legend now." I think that's what he said. Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, you get it. I mean, and then you see Grief has pocketed some of the best car too.
Oh yeah.
And he likes the Mandalorian, and I will give a shout out to Matt. He calls him Mando, and I remember on one of the shows, I don't remember if you guys talked about it on here, or if it was on Owen and Baru, but there was the talk of calling him Mando, and we see Grief calls him Mando in this.
Yeah, and I guess he's listed to the Mandalorian in the title. It's not called Mando, but he does call him Mando. So I guess it's okay, because I gave crap to Jay last week, was in the chat, and he said Mando. I go, I didn't know we were on first term basis that you could call him Mando. But now everyone's calling him Mando. I guess we can call him Mando.
And we're going with Baby Yoda, damn the torpedoes.
Yeah, until they give us a name. You think that'll be the cliffhanger at the end of the season?
Maybe, or it'll be taking the helmet off at the end of the season. I think it'll probably be like one of those two things.
Okay, or because it might have been Matt was saying that maybe that the Mandalorian, maybe this story with Baby Yoda won't take all season. But to me, I think it will.
I think that there was a question going into this episode how long we thought it would last, and at the end of this episode, it's definitely going to stretch the majority, if not all, of the season.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's interesting, and they're playing it out, and again, he's going to have everybody on his tail. But Mando sits down. He wants another job. I just wrote down Mando too there. I said, Mando just wants another job. And Grief's like, hey, why don't you take some time off? I think he said go to I'm assuming it was a brothel or something like that, go relax. And
I think it was some sort of restorative spring, but probably had some illicit.
You think so?
Behind it. Yeah. Yeah. And do some spice. You can get some spice and do some spice.
Nice. But Mando, no, I got to work. I got to do this. I got to do that. And takes the job. But then he does ask, he goes, what are they going to do with him? He goes, I didn't ask. He goes, that's not the code. You don't ask. You don't ask what's going to, the job is done. You move on. So now you're thinking, okay, he's going to go back and get him.
Yeah, that's when it pops in, and I wanted to throw in a thing. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but the bounty that he picked was it looked an awful lot like the Mon Calamari people, which were Admiral Akbar.
Right.
And
his son, right? Or something like that was.
Well, it was possibly his son, because they said like he's the son of a noble person.
Right.
So you wonder if there's going to be an Admiral Akbar tie in there. So I thought that was a nice Easter egg, which is a callback to Return of the Jedi. So all 3 episodes have called back each of the 3 episodes in multiple ways,
which is great.
Yeah.
But he also goes. And Mando goes, well, they work for the Empire, and he goes, the Empire's done. Grief says the Empire's done. So obviously they keep going back to the Empire. The Empire is trying to make a comeback.
Yeah, and it looks like there's little pockets of people trying to build up Imperial influence.
Yeah, and so you know that with the key is to get Baby Yoda to get the power of the Force, because they know with Darth Vader that having that is a huge advantage. Except he's not smart enough to realize that if there's a little thing in the Death Star that can destroy it.
Well, it makes you wonder if they're trying to get Baby Yoda, and you see the medical facility they've sort of put him in later.
Right.
They're trying to create like some sort of super soldier serum, like like they did for Captain America or something.
Yeah.
Or maybe just to increase the IQ of stormtroopers by about 30 points. Because they're pretty bad.
Yeah, it is. They're not the sharpest tools in the shed. But Mando gets ready to take off, and then he sees the little knob to the thing, and they're like, "Okay, finally, you're going back to save Baby Yoda." It's just what's going on. He clicks everything down. Yes, he's going back. He sees the baby stroller in the trash bin, and that just ticks him off. You can see in his face he was upset.
Yeah, and I really like the call out, because I'm sure you're of a certain age that you remember when shifters had the screw on top.
Yes.
In manual cars, and it sort of reminded me of like the shifter that was on my dad's car that I would always be playing with, and he'd be like, "Leave that alone."
I had one that was on my Datsun, and I stripped it because when I was driving, I kept playing with it. And I eventually stripped. I went, uh-oh. And I know a lot of people had like 8 balls and different. They would put like different. You could put different things on it, but I had played with it so much. I'd be sitting in traffic, listen to music, and I stripped it. So yeah, I do remember those. So it did bring back some memories and some bad ones, because I screwed up. It's funny, when I went to take the car in, though, I traded it in on my next car. I crazy glued it, so it would stay, because it was the threads were all gone. I mean, it needed to be replaced, but they didn't know. And the muffler I had coat hangers, wire coat hangers, holding it up. I said, "It's time to take this thing in." You do what you do what you gotta do, right?
Yeah, you got to sell it.
Yeah, he goes back and he starts killing stormtroopers, and there are a lot of stormtroopers in this building.
I thought the same thing. The last episode where he went in, it seemed like there were like just 4 or 5, and this was a small place. And sort of the scope and scale of the size of this operation, I think, was much bigger than we thought it was.
Yeah, I mean, he's killing them by stabbing them, burning them, punching them, shooting them, tasing them. He just was like, he's again, I keep going back to he's Clint Eastwood. In a Western, that's how Clint Eastwood would do it. He would just.
The note I made was that pretty much he used everything in the arsenal.
Yeah.
Everything we saw, and we got to add the new piece, the thing we didn't talk about, the whistling birds.
Right.
They added that at the armor, and we got to see a thermal detonator to blow up the wall. And so, I mean, it's sort of, I thought almost the running joke was he used everything, because, he adds the joke at the end that I got to get one of those jetpacks, because pretty much everything that we've ever seen that character use, and then some, we got to see in this episode, which was really cool.
Right. It was cool. And I do like that he goes in Dr. Pershing, and Dr. Pershing goes, no, don't hurt him. No, don't. So he's I guess a good guy, right?
I wondered that, like, as many people as he whacked, like it makes you wonder if they have if Mandalorians somehow have an innate sense of who's telling the truth or not. because he just let that guy live. And why would you let him live unless you really had a sense he was telling the truth?
Well, he says, what are you doing to him? He goes, I basically, he's alive because of me.
Right.
I saved him. Because he does, when he first walks in, he steps in front of the baby and says, no, don't hurt him. Don't harm him. He's just a child. I think he says he's just a child.
He does. Or even maybe baby. He says child.
Not yet baby. And I was like, huh. But then in the end, he lets, like you said, he lets him live. He walks away. Then he goes on to kill more stormtroopers.
Well, and that scene, as well as some other scenes we see for the first time, that sometimes he sort of has like ninja qualities, that he just disappears like, quietly, and in the turn of a head that he's gone. Right.
Yeah. So and then when we see the whispering, he's surrounded. He goes, look, I got a valuable property. I got valuable commodity here. I got something valuable here. Commodity. Yeah. And so he puts Baby Yoda down, and it sets off the whispering birds, and boom, 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 and the stormtroopers all get killed.
And that was super cool. The way like that lit up and went around. And if you listen, when I watched it multiple times, you did hear like they emit a slight whistle as they're flying through the air. So I thought that was really neat. The only complaint I had there upon watching it multiple times is like the package that was Baby Yoda, like just looked like it was like a loaf of bread wrapped in a towel.
It did look a lot smaller.
It didn't look great, but you can't win them all.
It was making noises though.
Yeah.
So the bread was making noises, so we're good there. But I did like that. Then you go back to the stormtroopers. I was like, at what point do you just not shoot him? Shoot him. Mm-hmm. Can't you shoot him without killing the package?
Stormtroopers have they're like the San Diego Chargers. Mm-hmm. They get close and then they blow it. Right?
Yeah, that's history. Yeah. They should rebrand the name in LA Stormtroopers. Right?
LA Stormtroopers.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, can't argue with that. Then he goes back, and so then we see he gets him, he walks out, and then we see, what are they, tracking devices or like a pager? Yeah, all the bounty hunters in the bar and even Grief get the same. Something is,
Yeah, they call them, I think, tracking fobs, and they're all going off. And as he's walking around, everybody knows immediately, like he's a target, or the baby's the target. It's not clear if that's connected to the baby or him. I would say it's not going to matter. It's going to be both after this week. But it was, And then we know, here we go, and that's when stuff really gets crazy.
Yeah, I thought there was a fun scene. He's like, he's basically he's surrounded, but he's making the demands. Let me leave. Again, I keep going back. That's something a Clint Eastwood movie would do. You're making a mistake. Go ahead, make my day. He could have said that would have been the same thing. But he starts firing. He jumps on that little tram thing. He tells the droid to move. The droid argues with him at first, right? Then he points his gun at him and goes, "Move!" Yeah, he doesn't like droids. We know that.
He doesn't. And I was reminded of the way he's talking. I was reminded of the sort of, when I was thinking of the Western tropes, I was thinking of Clint Eastwood in the bar in Unforgiven. When he walks in.
Oh, yeah.
It's just him against all those people. And he's like, I'm going to do this and you're going to let me. Right. And then he does a really nice flip into that transport when the fighting starts, sort of, it is interesting. And I've wondered if there's, I think, I heard someone mention this. I wondered if there's also sort of like the samurai trope in this too, because there was a lot of that sort of interesting stuff this week. Sort of the supernatural reflexes and, when he does that flip in, I thought that was interesting. Oh, and something I forgot that we didn't talk about, that something I thought was really interesting was seeing that his gun, also, he sort of has the Predator heat seeker on it, and he can pair that up with his helmet and listen to conversations using that gun. I thought that was kind of a nice reveal. He's got quite the arsenal of stuff.
Well, maybe that's how last week I talked about how he was walking through that canyon and he knew something was coming. He knew. So maybe that's why we didn't know last week. But maybe that's a good point, that maybe that's what he was using last week to know what was going on.
Yeah, because he hears the conversation. There's a little disruption, but he knows what's going on.
But it looks like he's in trouble. He's surrounded. Grief is like saying, "Oh, this is." He goes, "Let me walk to my ship," and Grief's like, "Come on, man, come on. Let's give me the package and then we'll talk." But he knows he's a dead man if he does that. And then it looks like he's done with. They're shooting at him left and right, and all of a sudden, all the Mandos come. Heavy Mando leading the way, and they come and save him.
Yeah, it was a nice. It was really nice, and I thought I've really been paying attention to the Western things in this, and I almost thought like the droid at the front of the land speeder. If you think of old Westerns, like how do they stop the stagecoach? They shoot the stagecoach driver, right? Like in the second they shoot the droid, the land speeder just drops.
Right.
Almost like the old stagecoach trope.
Yeah, in that's Western. True. Yeah.
And you even see a guy get shot and like fall off the roof, like exactly. In Westerns. I mean, and then you have the surrounding thing, and then it's like here comes the cavalry to save the day, which I thought, like you said, this show is pretty predictable. That was one thing that I didn't see coming.
I didn't either.
That surprised me to see all the Mandalorians show up to fight.
Now, how did they hear it was going on? Did they know it was going on, or did Baby Yoda send them? Because he wakes up before this happens. He's been sleeping the whole time. He can sleep through anything, but his eyes opened up, and then a few seconds later, here come the Mandalorians.
Well, you wonder. You wonder if they have some sort of connection that we don't know, some sort of warrior connection to one another. I mean, it could be as simple as there's just a buttload of stuff happening, but they wouldn't necessarily know it was related just to him.
Right, because I'm sure there's a lot of violence going on in this town.
Sure, absolutely. And we see lots of violent races we've seen from the other past. Like we see, a Greedo get disintegrated. And there's a character that looks an awful lot like Darth Maul, like someone from Darth Maul's world there too. So, but it does beg the question, because they make a conscious decision that's going to cost them staying on that planet what to do.
They could have called the planet Tombstone.
Yes, they could have. Absolutely. Yeah. And you have to admit that the laser cannon, like the Gatling gun cannon, that was pretty cool.
It is. I'm a fan of the Gatling gun cannon. I do enjoy that, because anytime you're in a Western, someone has a Gatling gun, it's like, we got a Gatling gun, we can't beat that.
Right, exactly.
It's just. But it's funny, the people with the Gatling gun never seem to win in Westerns.
Well, if you have the biggest gun, you draw the most fire.
Yeah, I guess so. It's like Miami. I go back to Miami Vice. Tubbs and Crockett be running around with their little handguns, and the drug dealers have the Uzis, and they always died. They were always able to kill them with the. I know I'm dating myself, but that's.
You know what, Jack? You know that I watched Miami Vice too.
Well, it's a great show. I don't know if it holds. I haven't seen it in a while. I don't wonder if it holds up. But anyway, maybe I'll give it a rewatch sometime. But he gets out of it. Grief leaves before they have a chance to kill him. He takes off, and I just thought he was. To be honest with you, this is the one scene I was kind of shocked by. That was the one scene where I was surprised when he ends up showing up at the ship, because I thought he was just taking off to save himself for another day. He says, you broke the code. You gotta go. And there's a smoke. Mandalorian sets off smoke and stuff like that, and they shoot at each other, and Mando shoots him. But I wrote down here, Grief lives. So if you remember, after A New Hope, well, it was just Star Wars at the time. Remember all the bumper stickers and little, mostly pins. Vader lives.
Yes.
Because I remember after I watched A New Hope, like 10, whatever it was, I go, wait a minute, because they was selling him at the theater. I go, how did he live? And I go, well, you know what? He bounced around. I go, I guess we never see him die.
Right.
So that was I guess that I'm assuming I never looked it up. I guess the production company at the time said, okay, we want to keep interest going before the next one. We need to tell people Vader lives. So I put Grief lives because he got saved, and he's obviously going to be the one chasing after The Mandalorian.
Well, and that's why I think, and I forgot to do this call out. They did a call out to New Hope there too, where he says to the Mandalorian, "I'm your only hope," which is the sort of the Leia Obi-Wan thing,
right?
But that's why I wonder if this is going to be more personal to him, and maybe that's their connection from the past, and that's why I sort of came up with the theory. Why would he go to the ship and get shot and get saved? And did the Mandalorian not want to kill him? Did he shoot him where the Beskar was to just incapacitate him? The Mandalorian is a pretty good
shot, yeah.
Pretty good shot. Did he shoot him there just to incapacitate him? Do they have a history? Are we going to learn that? And that's why I sort of think we're going to see in one of those flashbacks, he's the one that saved him from that.
I think, going back, I didn't think about it until you brought it up, but that's a fantastic theory, and also would explain why he didn't kill him.
Right. I just think that
that he owes him something.
Right. Yeah, and I think that if he really thought somebody was going to track him, no matter where he went, he'd kill him.
Right.
He'd have made sure he was dead, because you see him with the stormtroopers. Even the one that he shoots them even when they're dead in an uncharacteristic way that we're not used to seeing in a Star Wars show. He made sure they're dead.
And also, Creed was right.
Mm-hmm.
The Mandalorian did break the code. I mean, he's got a job to. I mean, we're all glad he did, but he did break the code. So maybe he feels the Mandalorian's like, okay, yeah, I did break the code, but I did it for reasons. But I'm not going to shoot you just so I can get away.
Right. Right, and the big question, I mean, you have going forward is how much is that going to cost his people and him, because that's what's going to be interesting to see what happens next.
Well, you had, you mentioned earlier, you have Heavy salutes him as he's flying, and that's when he goes, "I got to get me one of those."
Yeah, that's which is great, because it's the only Boba Fett accessory we haven't seen on it.
Yeah, and then he gives Baby Yoda the knob,
mm-hmm.
and that's how it ends. I thought another great episode.
I really thought that the first two had good bits of action, but it set it up, and this one was full blown Western action and full use of weapons, and real curious where it'll go from here. What planet will they go to next? What will it look like? Because where are they going to run?
Yeah, I assume. I mean, that has to be the plot for the rest of the season, that he's going to be. I think probably for the rest of the series, that he's going to be a wanted man. And how does he survive each week? How does he, keep, doing what he's doing? I mean, but he's also got to make money too.
Right.
So does he do jobs on the side as he's trying to stay alive, or what's going on?
I really think it's going to be like the old Western serials, like this week, the dude rolls into this town and runs into this situation. And I think that's the path it seemed to want to chart. And I've been really impressed with the way they pulled it off so far. I mean, the thing about this show, it just looks fantastic.
Yeah. I know people have said they want longer episodes, and I'm like going, I know, I think they're fine. It's, they do go by fast.
Mm-hmm.
But, a normal TV show, like a 30-minute TV show now, like sitcoms are only like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
It's 10 minutes of commercials. So you really, these are what this episode was 30, well, it ended early. So it's like 36 minutes, 35 minutes. I thought it was enough for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you stretched it out 5 more minutes, it would be broadcast TV for an hour. And
right.
I would rather have the story be tight, the action be tight. And I think that's what they've really done well, is tighten this up. That it's simple, but it's not simple in its execution. Like the story's pretty straightforward, but the way they've executed it has been technically flawless. I say that, then there's like, the bread bag and that stuff. But I mean, if you watch it and you want to nitpick, you can. But I mean, Baby Yoda is a sensation.
Oh yeah. They are gonna release Baby Yoda merchandise before Christmas. So
yes, I posted that on the
was it you
page? Yes, because I'd heard people talking about that, and I think we all thought it was happening. And I saw today, but I didn't post it today, that John Favreau said that they had were planning on it, but they were holding back because they didn't want to spoil people that it was already planned.
Okay. Well, that makes sense, because my comment was, because someone said, you think they'll do it? I go, it's Disney.
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, have you ever been to Disneyland or Disney World? You come out of most of the rides, there's a gift shop there with that, whatever the ride was. It's similar, those, it's like Star Wars, Star Tours. You come out, there's Star Wars stuff there. I mean, you can't get through. It's like, oh my God. It's, when you have kids, it's hard. When you're adult, you go through and go, well, maybe I would want that. But, kids, they got to stop and look at everything and go. But we always told our kids, this is the deal. You can buy stuff at the end of the night. On the final, because we would take the kids to Disneyland for a week, and we'd stay there. And on the final night, you can spend your money on that's the last thing we do. We walk out, and so that's how we got. That's how we got out of doing every day buying something. It's like, oh my God, who gets stuck carrying it?
They want everything they pass when they're kids.
Right, exactly.
Like, what's the one you really want? And I think back to I took my son to Disney World back in the day, and he got to do the Jedi Academy. And I've got pictures of him fighting Darth Vader. And so he likes the Mandalorian, but he's now officially at the age where Baby Yoda, he's like, yeah, it's cute, but I envy the parents that get to go get the Baby Yoda for everybody. So.
Jim was he making a comment about your bread Yoda. He says, Yoda size matters not. Well, we got Jim and Eric in the chat. Real quick, if you're still with us, I know Jim is, but if Eric's still with us, are you loving the series? Any complaints? Anything really quick? But I wish I had a little piece of the Yoda merchandise. Oh my
God!
It might be like Tickle Me Elmo.
Yeah.
When those things were going for like $1,000 a pop. I can still remember someone came in the let's see. Jim says, "Oh yeah, great show." Yeah, you can't. It is. I mean, I haven't heard anybody complain about it yet.
Like you say, the only complaints have been that it's too short.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you get 30 to 40 minutes of quality with no commercials, you can't really. And that's what. By the time we're done, we're going to have 4.5 hours of something great.
Yeah, it's going to be like a big movie.
Yeah, absolutely, a real big movie.
And the special effects are excellent. I mean, they didn't go cheap on the special effects. I mean, they really went. They're like you said, it's all quality. Yeah, like the story is not like, oh my God, this is just amazing, but it's so interesting, and the way they're shooting it, I find it fascinating, and I'm really enjoying this show, and it's one of those things that you almost wish it was streaming, because where it was like Netflix.
But would we like it as much?
Probably. What. I don't know, because I'll watch it a couple more times before next week, and then when the next episode comes along, I'm watching these things through. Where if I streamed it or binged it, I wouldn't go back and watch it again. I would just go boom, boom, boom. Jim says over 120 million for the whole season.
Wow,
that's 120 million sold, or 120 million dollars for for shooting the season.
I think that's what he's saying. I think that's what he's saying to spend on it. They spent a lot of money on it. I mean, and it looks great. It's entertaining. I can't find it. I'll say this: I've heard complaints, but I've not heard one person who loves the Star Wars universe who says that they hate it.
Yeah, even Nick likes it, and that's rare. So, and Jim makes a good point. Yeah, we get to talk about it more. So that's the cost of the show, but but the money they're going to make in merchandise. At Disney, I think the first week had 10 million. Was it the first week or first day had 10 million subscribers? I mean, 10 million. I know there's different prices and stuff like that, but that's a pretty good. I mean, that's got to be putting a hurt on. Well, because Apple TV launched, and I don't think I watched one of their shows, just the first episode. All Mankind. I liked it, but I've got so many other things going on, I couldn't get back to it. So Apple comes out and gets probably clobbered. I mean, I don't know how good Apple's doing, but they probably got clobbered by Disney.
Disney really nailed it with The Mandalorian and their launch. I mean, it seems like the service, I think they had server problems, but the service itself and this show to be sort of the first big show they put out. They didn't waste any money. They spent it on something good quality, and people are talking about it. And I hear the thing I've noticed that I think they're smart about doing it slow is it builds up anticipation towards the holiday season.
Oh, that's true.
Because if you think about it, like next week, if we could have binged it, we're probably not going to be talking about it at Thanksgiving.
Right.
Next week at Thanksgiving, I guarantee you people are going to be saying, "Oh my God, have you watched The Mandalorian? It's amazing." And it's also built up that anticipation for Christmas toys for kids. So,
and Jim just said most of the rest of the world is still waiting to watch it. Europe won't see it until next year.
Wow.
Well, that just shows you should be in America.
USA.
They have the good BBC shows, though.
They do. We have to wait on those.
Yeah, so I guess it's fair. But if you're a Star Wars fan, and then it's worldwide, it's one of those worldwide things. It must be hard. I'm sure. Well, there's ways you can watch it. There's always a way nowadays you can watch something.
As your attorney, we're not going to talk about those ways.
No. Like I said, I don't do it. But I've heard there's ways to do it, but
allegedly.
Anyway, allegedly, yeah. But anyway, Brian, thanks for joining us. Thanks for being a big Dean Spanos fan. I know he's your favorite. And are you a Bengals fan?
In the AFC, I'm an Eagles fan.
Oh, that's right. That's right. I forgot because I know you're a Cincinnati Reds fan.
Yep.
So I was putting the two. I can imagine. I can see why you wouldn't want to be a Bengals fan.
Man, they're so bad.
Yeah, they're just terrible.
So bad.
But thanks, Jim and Eric, for joining us in the chat. And we'll be back next week. We'll have a different guest host, even though Brian was excellent. We'll have someone new next week, and or maybe Brian will be back again sometime. I don't. It's up to Brian. If Brian wants to come back, he can come back.
Well, but I enjoyed it, Jack. I really did. I appreciate it. And there's something I want to say that I forgot to say real quick. This was the first episode of a live-action Star Wars film or show directed by a woman.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
And I want to say her name is Michelle Chow. If I got the first name wrong, don't crucify me because I don't have my notes. But I did think that was a big deal to the Star Wars universe, and I'd meant to mention that earlier, but almost forgot. So
it might be the best episode so far.
I thought so. I thought it really got the action going. But I appreciate you having me. I've enjoyed it and be happy to come back anytime.
All right, sounds good. All right, guys, we're out. Don't forget to subscribe, thumbs up, and tell a friend.
Thanks.
Unless you're like me, you don't have any friends, and you just, talk to yourself. All right, guys, we're out of here. Bye.
Bye.